Hi everyone, my name is Xochil Herrera Scheer, and my company is called the Chicago Pattern Maker. And obviously from the title of the company, you know that I do pattern making. My job really entails working with designers and entrepreneurs to help them take a design from like a sketch or concept all the way through product development, testing, and then getting them ready to manufacture at a factory. I've had this company for 10 years this year, and prior to that I worked for a small boutique. Prior to that I went to college for fashion design, and really prior to that I was sewing kind of like you are in high school. So I'll kind of start from kind of the beginning. I learned how to sew from my grandma when I was 9 years old, just sewing like doll clothes and things by hand. But then I did my very first outfit a couple years later, learning from my friend's mom, who was also my daycare provider, like after school person, and later was like making dresses and things for school dances, helping friends with like their prom stuff, alterations, things like that. I had no idea though that fashion design was actually like a job that you could go into. I just thought, oh, I'm having fun and making stuff for myself, making things that I, can't find in a store, whether it's the color or the fabric or the totally, the style, everything from scratch. So I always found it really exciting. Originally thought I wanted to go into costume design just because I, again, didn't know that fashion, making clothes for people for every day was like a thing. But when I did find out, I started taking like pattern making classes and sewing classes to kind of hone my skills and get better at that. So then I moved to Chicago for college. I went to the Illinois Institute of Art for fashion design, and I was really surprised to find that I was one of the only ones that actually knew how to use a sewing machine. So you guys have a leg up on a lot of people who are not starting that until much later in their career path. So I applaud you for that. I think whether your skills are beginner, intermediate, advanced, like you will get better and better the more you make. And the longer you do it, so that's a great thing that you're doing right now. Some other classes though in high school that I took, I think that really helped me were just any art classes, from drawing and painting all the way through like ceramics and like three-dimensional type things. I think that really helps your brain think three-dimensionally, which of course fabric is flat, but you're putting it on a body, so the bodies are three-dimensional. So I think any art that helps you kind of work your brain into that 2D, 3D space is really important. I also took architectural drafting, so like the building and like interior design specs, things like that. It gets you kind of honing your math skills for drafting a pattern. Drafting a pattern is like very similar to drafting out like a building space or like a room space, putting the layout together. You're obviously dealing with squares and rectangles when you're dealing with architecture, and you're dealing with more, again, three-dimensional round shapes. Every body is a different body, so different types of curves, different measurements, but you're dealing with like your fractions and decimals and kind of going back and forth. So I think that's a really good thing if you have that available at the school to take something like that. Once I was in college, I took kind of every opportunity I could to do fashion shows or, making clothes for friends for different things, whether it was taking something existing like a pair of jeans and adding some, design detail to it, taking an old bridesmaid's dress that you find like either in someone's closet or at a thrift store and kind of taking it apart, making it cool and different, but reutilizing that fabric. We're all on a budget, and especially when you're young and in school, like we're definitely on a budget, so taking anything and everything and putting it together, I think is a good way to test your creativity and like push your boundaries, but also at the same time push yourself to do like better construction and get really good at like the sewing and fine-tuning everything with the design.